Hey, welcome to the Drep and Stone podcast, a podcast where two friends raise a glass and have a conversation. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kyle.
Kyle, before we start this episode, I want to invite everyone to grab a glass.
Yep.
And grab a bottle.
Yeah.
Or a can or, you know, whatever's nearest, as long as you're in a place that is safe to do so, and have a pour along with us.
Yeah, why not?
I don't like that's something that I was actually thinking about. I was listening to the episode and I was like, I don't know if we've ever obviously we're drinking stuff and we hope that people are sampling things along with us.
Right.
But I don't know if we've ever invited people to do that.
That's a good call. Yeah. Invite you to join us on this journey of liquid investigation.
That's going on a shirt. This journey of liquid investigation.
Come with me
and you'll see. See?
You'll be in a world
of liquid
imagination. Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, and so
pause the podcast.
Yeah,
momentarily. Go sit yourself up.
Sure.
Come right back.
Again, if you're in a location that is safe to do so, if you are in a car, if you are operating heavy machinery.
Yeah, I understand that. You got to get your Drep and Stone fix in when you can.
Correct.
But if you are at home.
If you're in a place where you can indulge.
Yeah. Quickly do so.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
And more importantly, you probably saw the title of this episode. And if you can get your hands on the bottle that we're drinking, even better. But if not, as long as you're drinking something.
Good luck.
What? The bottle we're drinking?
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe. Depending on where you are.
It seems like it's kind of a difficult one to procure in our neck of the woods anyway.
But I've got one in my hand.
But you got one.
I do.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. You want to just address it?
Yeah, let's go right into it.
Kyle, this week we are drinking, sampling, discussing, reviewing.
Investigation.
The HighWest Campfire.
There it is.
Yeah. Longtime listeners of Drep and Stone will know that we've actually already done the Campfire.
Yeah.
But I figure we need to bring it back. And here's why. It's done changed.
Yeah, it's a different version of the Campfire.
Yeah, absolutely. It's changed.
Did they stop making it for a while?
They did. Yeah. So I'm going to say, man, I know that someone's going to yell at me for saying this, but I think it was late 2019. It might have been pandemic era 2020. Yeah. They actually, HighWest stopped blending / distilling this.
Right.
And then they brought it back. From what I understand, it was only a distillery release in that time period. Like, I don't think they ever officially fully stopped making it, but they stopped distributing it. And it was, from my understanding, a distillery release, but now they released it widely again. And I think they've changed some things. So I figured it'd be a good time to revisit this.
Well, it was wildly successful that first time we had it.
Absolutely.
I know you powered through that bottle.
Oh, easily.
Passionately. So it's fascinating to get it back again. And I'm super excited because I know anytime we've ever had anything since then that was bourbon smoky related, we've always said, oh man, what is this? What would this be compared to Campfire?
Yeah, like the Chattanooga, when we did the Chattanooga
Scotch cask.
Yep. It was Campfire, or we made mention of Campfire.
That's what it reminded us of. And then we also had another. There was the Chattanooga single barrel that you had that was peated, and again, it just conjured up that concept of bourbon and smoke that made us think, is this Campfire related? So it's great because I don't think I've had Campfire since that episode.
Interesting.
So I'm totally all about getting back into this.
Episode 70. So pretty early on. That would have been early year 2, January of 2021.
Episode 70.
Yeah.
All right, so year 2.
Year 2. It was in year 2.
Yeah.
Our first episode was early October 2019, and this episode featuring the old version of HighWest Campfire came out in January of 2021. Episode 70. So go back and take a look at that one.
And see some tasting notes.
Yeah, because from what I understand,
review.
this is a completely different or updated version of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
All right. I've already had, what would you say, a third of this bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, can you see what's on the back? You see all those smudges?
Yeah.
You know what the smudges come from?
People's hands?
My own campfire. The soot.
Oh,
the hands.
nice.
Yeah, because there's something about drinking this around a campfire.
Yeah, works.
I love HighWest bottles.
Yeah.
And I love HighWest bottles because it's that like old style, like there's bubbles in the glass.
Yeah, I don't think that's always been a thing, has it? I feel like I had a burr rye at one time that I don't feel like had that speckled glass look to it.
I think they've always had this like old style bottle, but I think the speckled glass they might have changed their
I think they've added
bottle
that
maker. I
to
don't
it.
know. Yeah, anyway,
I like it.
Here we go. May I?
Certainly. Nailed it. Thanks, man.
I didn't spill a drop.
And that was impressive.
I spilled like half a pour. Like this room.
That was woo.
It's the way I was holding the bottle. Like it just came out faster.
Well done.
Thank you. Didn't spill any of that one. Wait for it.
Yep. Oh. Damn. Nice.
Sorry. Was that your behind?
No, sir. It ain't that firm.
All right. So this is the Cheers. This is the HighWest Campfire, a blend of straight rye whiskey, straight bourbon whiskey, and blended malt Scotch whiskey.
Boom.
Comes in at 46% ABV. 92 proof. Out of Park City, Utah. You want some bottle words?
Sure.
HighWest Campfire.
Nice.
Campfire whiskey is our ode to starry nights. Spent outside, huddled close around the fire with friends. This rare blend brings together both old and new world whiskey traditions. Smoky undertones of peated Scotch, quintessential American bourbons, and spicy ryes combine for a complex flavor profile. Taste of classic peat smoke give way to chai spice, orange zest, English toffee, toasted brioche, salted caramel, leather, and dark chocolate. Gather round and sip a campfire this season. So says Brendan Coyle, the master distiller, and Tara Lindy, the blend sensory manager.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So
I don't remember it having bourbon, rye, and Scotch.
So I think blended. It did. I think it was a blend of bourbon, rye, and Scotch. But the bottle words mention Brooklotic. They mention like eating like candied peaches or something. They did? Yeah, it did. It was very like reminiscent of. It mentioned a trip to Isla and like spending time in the cottage outside of Brooklotic or something like that.
Gotcha.
So it was a little more reminiscent of that perspective.
Right.
But take a look at the color on that, man.
It's lovely.
It is. It is. What would you call that? Bourbon colored?
I would say it's like light bourbon.
Okay.
I wouldn't go full bourbon. Dark Scotch, but it's in that kind of ambery. I feel like I'm looking at a fly caught in a dinosaur mosquito.
I was like, where are you going? I got it. That's a Jurassic Park reference.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm looking at like the top of a cane of a rich guy who's built a dinosaur theme park.
Named Attenborough.
There you go.
Was he in Attenborough? He was in Attenborough, right?
Spared no expense. I don't think so. Attenborough doesn't seem right.
No, his last name his name in the movie was
John Hammond.
John Hammond. Yeah. But what is the actor's name?
The actor's is Attenborough.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't realize you were going for actor. I had no clue what his name was.
I apologize.
Attenborough to me suggested like I'm thinking
There's
of
a chimpanzee.
Yeah, I'm thinking Jane
Goodall.
I'm thinking like that era.
Yeah,
of
that's that guy's brother.
No shit.
Yeah, he was the one who's like the beautiful. No, that's a terrible.
Beautiful. Cockney.
Yeah, he had his like beautiful British accent.
Right.
I had his like rectify beautiful. That's why I said it. And it was like the parrot in the Amazon, or he would say Amazon.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The parrot in the Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
But he would say penguin, not like Benedict Cumberbatch.
Penguin. Penguin.
Have you seen that? That's so funny.
What the heck, dude?
And Graham Norton's like, you can't say this word, can you?
What is wrong?
No, penguin.
Like now I just don't say it.
Yeah, I don't know what those birds are called. On the nose?
It's difficult to say.
Is it difficult to say because you don't know, or is it difficult to say because you don't want to say it?
It's difficult to say because of what we just did.
Oh,
from our
you're
previous
talking
episode.
about last week's episode. Yeah, we just came off of last week's episode, recording wise.
Yeah,
where we tried several high proof and peated things.
Well, and peated and just like
fantastic
depth.
Yeah,
of things like just an absolute like depth of flavors and notes and things to like discuss. That this is kind of like, I feel like that's throwing me off.
Yeah. What do you get initially? Like, what is the first scent on the nose?
I'm going to go Scotch, but it's not the peaty. aspect of it. I don't really get peat off the nose.
I get smoke. I wouldn't say peat, but I get like, I mean, it could just be some labeling, but I get campfire. You ever, oh man, what is it? Where is it? It might be the Carousel of Progress, where there's like that fake smoke note.
Oh, that's the Dark Ages in Spaceship Earth.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Epcot here in Florida, there's a ride inside the big giant golf ball looking thing.
Yep.
It's called Spaceship Earth.
Yep.
And in that ride, you're kind of going back in time, back through human history.
Watching the history of progress and
right. And you pass by the Romans.
Yeah.
And there's a dude writing something on papyrus. I forget what he's doing, but there's like a campfire.
You go through the Egyptians, and then you go through the Aegeans,
right?
And the Phoenicians,
right,
and the Greeks, and then you go through the Dark Ages. And through the Dark Ages, there's this like crumbly.
That's right.
Because the libraries in Alexandria are burned down.
That's what it is.
And as that happens, there's this barbecue-y.
Like it's not a real smell.
No,
it's not something that's
it's
like
suggestive
natural.
of like barbecue potato chips. Where it's like, this is supposed to be what a barbecue smells like, but not really.
It's like cheap barbecue chicken or like gas station barbecue chicken.
Liquid smoke.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting.
Liquid bacon. Thanks, Dahi.
Liquid.
That's
bacon.
what it is.
You ever had bacon bits? Like
I have.
Yeah, kind of is reminiscent of that. It's like it's not real smoke, but it's smoke adjacent.
Like I wish I was anywhere near that. I'm going literally straight to a Scotch, but like a more of a not a smoky, like more
really
of a,
no smoke at all.
More of like a Campbelltown type Scotch or a Highland, but like, and then that's just kind of like the glaze over a bourbon.
Yeah,
that has a high rye content on it. Like I don't get any smoke off the nose.
Yeah, I get hit with smoke, and then you saying rye, like now I get the rye spice on the back end. I don't know, like there's some sweetness, so maybe that's the bourbon.
Like I'm just smelling like a well blended whiskey.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't really pinpoint it as anything.
Sure.
But like I can get like all the notes of like, yep, sweet Scotch with bourbon and rye all blended together. Like I'm getting all of the things that should be.
Right.
No smoke at all.
Interesting.
No campfire, no mesquite, no wood.
Wow. See, I would even go so far as to say like this is reminiscent of the Wild Turkey Long Branch. Like there's a bit of like a twang going on. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, now that you smell it, it kind of dissipates.
Yeah, I think maybe I just fucked it up and was smelling it way too long before we started talking about it.
Maybe. All right. Enough sniffing time for sipping.
You got it.
See, I get the peat on the palate too, but it's subtle peat. Like it's like weak peat.
Weak Pete.
Pete needs to go to gym.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he needs to.
Yeah.
Do you even lift, bro?
He needs some protein.
Yeah. Little protein shake.
Little protein shake. Oh, cottage cheese, banana, and peanut butter.
Peanut butter. That'll do
it.
Set you right, man.
Yeah.
That's a good.
I'm totally trying that.
Right
I'm totally trying that. If I haven't already, because obviously we're recording this, back to back. I'm totally trying that. I've got all three of those ingredients.
Slice of Havarti? No, what was it?
Manchego
on top. That'll do it. I'm gonna go back in.
Go back in. What you thinking? I see you pondering over there.
I do start to get peat on the aftertaste towards the back end. It does subtly come up with a little bit of an oaky content.
Subtle peat.
Yeah, subtle weak peat towards that back end.
I get heavy bourbon. I get almost no rye. I mean, okay, that
right as you said it.
Yeah, right as I said it, I got hit with like rye on the back end spice.
Yeah, bitey, a little bitey rye.
Bitter rye, not bitter.
Oh, the rye bitter. Yeah.
Bitter rye, yeah, on the very back end, but almost as like the exhale.
Yep.
But like it is super bourbon forward.
Yeah, bourbon forward. Yeah. Bourbon forward. It's not what I remember.
No. And okay. It's not just me.
Yeah. You said the same thing.
Yeah. That was tough because I knew that me saying that to you would preemptively like put you in that space.
Sure.
But I think that we are professionals enough that we can kind of remove some of that.
Right.
I mean, not wholly, but some of that.
Yeah.
It's just, God, I'm going to say it. It's not as good.
Sure.
Because I was blown away by how good that bottle was.
Yeah. Well,
it was through that bottle.
It was so unique and it was so different from anything else that we had. And it was kind of one of those, you're in that like huge hallway surrounded by doors. And it's like each door opens up into a new room, a new experience. And it was kind of one of those door openings that was like, oh, wow. Like it can be bourbony and smoky, scotchy at the same time.
It's that analogy that we've used before. It's a jazz trio. Yeah. It's, you've got your piano, you've got your bass, and you got your drum set or some version of that, right? And they all blend together and they make this beautiful music. And then you got your pianist kind of going out and doing his like kind of. Do you like that?
Yeah, that was really good.
That's my Dave Brubeck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Take 5, man.
Yeah. God, I love that song. Anyway, like that's then you have an individual in that trio go off and do their solo thing.
Right.
Like you have everybody else just kind of playing background. But to me, this isn't a jazz trio. Like it just kind of like together.
Yeah. Either that or it's like we stepped in as the pianist is having his solo. And everybody else is just kind of sitting back going like
one note or one. Yeah. It's not cohesive.
But the piano guy is going off, man. He's like laying into it. So it's like we're getting all bourbon right now.
That's
every once in a while we get a rye.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while we'll get like a little scotch. But for the most part, piano man just over here.
Yeah, it's so bourbon forward.
Yeah.
Where I feel like the older version was a better blend.
Yeah. We were more at the front of the song.
Yeah.
Where they were all cohesive, working together.
Yep.
Leaning on each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like
I think you're spot on, man.
Something that I've wanted for a while is the Midsummer, what is it?
Dram.
Yeah, the Midsummer Night's Dram.
Yeah.
And I've heard like widely varying perspectives on that. Like some people just think it crushes.
Yeah.
And some people are like, damn, I spent $200 on a bottle and it's fine.
Yeah.
Knowing how much I loved the Campfire before.
Yeah.
And then going to this, I'm like, Campfire. I still like it. Like there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, it's still delightful.
It really is.
There's nothing. I would appreciate a little bit more of a bitter thing coming through, especially with it being called Campfire. Mm-hmm. There's like almost like something suggestive of wood and ash that you would like to be coming through that I'm not really detecting at all. It seems to be overly sweet. Not overly sweet, but like heavily sweet, that I would appreciate a little bit more depth, or not depth really, just more balance. In that realm.
I think that's it.
I think there is actually a lot of depth in the sweetness, but you just have to like keep diving through the sweet.
But it's so predominantly sweet forward.
Yeah.
That the beautiful peaty nature that I'm getting on the palate kind of washes out. Mm-hmm. And you don't get as much of it.
I literally don't get hardly any.
That's what I'm saying.
The briefest like touch. And like at this point in time, I'm not even sure I could identify it as peat. It's like there's a reaction that my tongue is having that I associate that with peat, that I'm thinking like that's got to be the peat.
There is
making my tongue kind
correct.
of like twinge in that way on the side of my tongue.
Yeah, and I think it's like muscle memory. Like you just know what peat feels
what
like.
It does to my tongue.
Exactly.
If I close my eyes. Woo.
But
it's definitely not what I remember.
No, I don't want...
We're jumping into a realm of something that we've kind of said we see happen a lot in whiskey, which is people saying that when they go back to a thing, it's not as good as they remembered it being the first time or earlier when they've had it.
And that's what I struggle with.
Yeah.
Is it because it's legitimately not as good because they've changed something? Or is it just my nostalgic perspective of the first bottle I had of this?
Right.
It literally is not as good. And like the only way to kind of combat that is to
you save a little bit of every bottle.
Well, even then, like we know that bottle's going to change slightly, but like buy 2 bottles of everything and save it. And I don't want to do that. That's not me.
Yeah, no, that makes no
First
damn
of all,
sense.
Carol's going to be pissed. And second of all, I don't have the space.
Why do you have double of everything? Yeah. It's science.
It's for science, honey. Come on. But I don't want to do that because I not that I hate unopened bottles, but like this stuff is to drink.
That, and it's almost kind of like, I'm on a journey. Mm-hmm. And that's almost kind of an anchor keeping you in place.
What's that?
If you've got something like, I've had this, now I've also got this duplicate of it that I'm going to be able to save.
Right.
That's always back here and like kind of holding me back. Are you ever able to
move past it?
Really move forward?
Yeah.
That's a tough thing. But to me it's more like I kind of like that we're coming back to this. One, it's completely different for me from how I remembered it.
Agreed.
And I have to assume I do think they've changed it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I also certainly have to think that of all the stuff that we've had since then, and the strength of smoke and peat that we've had since then, like just that little bit may have been all we needed back then to really be like, woo, this is smoky. And now it's just kind of like, is there smoke in it? I'm not really sure if there is or not.
Right. Well, and that's a good point too. I mean, being that this was relatively early on in the podcast, and knowing that like my Scotch journey really didn't start to develop until probably around that same time.
Right.
I don't know that, and that's
especially like smoky Scotches.
Exactly.
Like you were very avoiding the smoky stuff.
Yeah.
Like you were much more open to Scotches that were more Highland and
Campbelltown and Speyside. Yeah.
That stuff early on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense to me.
So that's why, like, not to bring up Dahi again, but just because that conversation was awesome from last week's episode, before we actually sampled everything, he sent us a message that was like, man, I wish I was trying all of these for the first time again.
Right.
And it was like, I get it. Because like there are so many things that now that I've had, I want to be able to try again for the first time. Like, so now that I've had the Campfire, and I agree, I believe they've changed something.
Yeah.
But then like I go back to every time I open a bottle of Rare Breed, it feels exactly the same.
Right. But that's also something that you've had continuously leading up to it. To me, you know, so at that point in time, if it's something that you've seen continuously,
I see.
You don't notice the differences.
Minute changes.
You know, like it's like one of those things of, I don't know if you've seen them, but like I've seen several TikToks where it's like, as you're watching this video, this amount of stuff changes, but you don't notice it because it's happening so subtly.
Oh.
But if you look at it at the beginning and then at the end,
you'll notice all the
difference.
changes. Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's like that. So if it's something that you
frog boiling in water, kind of thing. Yeah,
totally. You don't notice it if you're continuously experiencing it, but as you leap forward, you notice, oh, whoa, huge change.
Super good point. And maybe that's just it. That because, you know, it's been 2 years since I've had this bottle, 2 years since I've had a pour out of this kind of perspective, that it's that far removed.
Yeah, I would dare imagine that if we took any bourbon that you've got up there, if we took that Redemption High Rye, so it's got the bourbon and the rye, and then we throw in a dash of a smoky Scotch, that's going to trigger more of a reaction.
Point. Yeah, good point.
You know? Whereas back then, when we had this for the first time, it was such a unique, different thing for us in our journey at that point in time. It was probably like an absolute
altering
flair.
Yeah.
Of this is different.
Good point.
You know?
Good point.
It's not so much that did this change? I think it probably did, but we probably changed far more than it did.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, like all of it to say, I really like this bottle. Like, there's nothing to not like about this.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny thinking of it in terms of what we thought it was back then. It's not that. And so it's hard to not be negative on it for that.
Yeah.
But if you just talk about what is in the glass here,
absolutely.
It's delightful.
It's delightful.
It's fantastic. It's really
and I would recommend it to anyone who is a rye lover, a bourbon lover, or a Scotch lover. You are going to like this.
Like, I'm really impressed that this is what 92. That it has some bite.
It does
for 92.
A little bit of bite there.
It gives me a little bit of hope for that midwinter's night dram.
Kyle.
Yes, sir.
Now that we got a great drink.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a little bit more to get through the conversation.
Do you want me to pour for you?
No, I'll do it. I'll do it.
I mean,
I don't want any more to be wasted. Do you need a little more?
Sure.
I've got a topic first.
Do continue. I was a consummate professional, by the way.
May the 4th.
Yeah.
Be with you.
And also with you?
Indeed. That
Is that how you respond?
I think it is.
Okay.
Or just like, you too, bro.
No, it's definitely not YouTube, bro. It's. I'm sorry, it's not.
How long has that been a thing?
May the 4th?
May the 4th be with you.
Like not the date, but like
just the May the 4th.
So there's this monk. His name was something Gregor.
Felonious Distillious
Gregor.
There you go.
He's like, I don't like the calendars that are out there. I'm gonna make my own.
I don't like the calendars, and that is no moon.
We're going by the sun. I don't care what y'all think.
When do you think was the first time you heard of May the 4th be with you?
Ooh, I'm gonna say definitely within the last decade.
Right.
Like it was. I'm thinking back. Like it was not a thing when I was in high school. It was not a thing in college. I'm gonna say within the last decade. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. However, May the 4th has always been with me because that's my birthday.
It is your birthday,
and it's been an interesting thing seeing the evolution of May the 4th and it being somewhat of an almost holiday. But I've always
celebrating you.
I've always celebrated May the 4th. My entire life.
But not as Star Wars Day.
Definitely not a Star Wars Day. It's just a private day.
Yeah.
And this past year, I celebrated because it was my 40th birthday.
Wow.
40. Halfway to death. As so it's,
God, I hope not. The lease on this podcast is like 50 years. I hope. Yeah, listen. I hope you're not halfway to death.
Why did you go in for the 50-year deal?
Because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You got a deal. I'm a sucker for a deal.
So for 40, was looking for an opportune way to celebrate.
You got an ass tattoo, didn't you?
No, I didn't go all the way.
You didn't?
I didn't go all the way.
You didn't go all the way?
Thought about it.
So
but didn't commit. No tattoos.
Oh, okay.
Very early on in my 39th year, it was announced that a favorite musician of mine, one Josh Groban, was going to be performing on Broadway.
Wow.
In one of my very favorite Broadway musicals, which is Sweeny Todd.
I was gonna try and put something funny in there, and I just you went too fast.
I ate it up too fast.
You looked at me. You looked at me.
I'm sorry.
You knew I was gonna say something.
Where were we gonna go?
I was trying to figure it out. I've had a lot of Campfire. I'm quick. I'm not that quick.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
So Josh Groban was in.
It was announced that Josh Groban would be performing as the title role of Sweeny Todd.
Oh, he was Sweeny Todd.
He was Sweeny Todd.
I did not
in
understand
Sweeny
it.
Todd.
Oh, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
The Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Why'd you pause?
Because that's how they do it in the musical.
Oh, okay.
The Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
I don't remember that.
Immediately, I was like, that's what I want to do for my 40th birthday. I want to go see
I actually remember this, yeah.
that play with that cast on my birthday.
Did you do that?
And that's what we did.
That's fantastic.
This past week, we went up to New York, did the whole thing, had a phenomenal experience. Absolutely loved every second of it. It was amazing.
How was Groban?
Crushed it.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, not that I think he wouldn't, because the dude has he's got pipes.
He's got chops.
Chops or pipes? He's chopping the pipes?
Chopping those pipes.
He's piping the chops.
Piping the chopping pipes. He crushed it.
The dude's great.
It was great.
Yeah.
He's been nominated for a Tony.
Oh, I didn't know that.
His co-star, Annalee Ashford, has been nominated for a Tony for her role as Mrs. Lovett. It's been nominated, I think, for 8 different Tonys at this point.
Jesus.
Yeah, great. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Loved it. Which plays into a personal love of my own, which is the musical.
Ooh.
And that's something we haven't talked about.
No, we haven't.
On the podcast is musicals. And I know it's not something that is...
You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah,
man.
I know it's not a category of expertise for yourself. But I would feel ill-reprised if we didn't at least somewhat discuss the musical.
Okay. Can I disclose this to the audience?
Sure.
Okay. So for listeners, we did not discuss this episode ahead of time.
Not at all.
Like
not
normally,
even a little bit.
Normally we have like a quick discussion. Hey, what do you want to talk about? We kind of go through some beats that we want to discuss.
Yep. Last night I said, hey, I got one that I can lead us through.
And I went, cool.
Cool, going to bed.
Yeah, it literally. Actually, no, that was this morning.
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Cool.
Because
even better. Yeah, no, I fucked that up and I went to bed.
Yeah.
Without responding.
That's okay.
That's my bad.
No, it's fine. It's
but
fine.
it's like I knew I got this one in the back. We're good.
Okay. Musicals.
Musical productions.
You are absolutely correct. In that musicals
not your forte.
Yeah. Do you see the musical thing?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we met each other there.
We
it
did.
was like choreography.
It's like we've done this before. Choreography. Yeah. Musicals in general, not that they're not in my purview.
Yep.
Because full disclosure, I love Sweeny Todd.
Nice.
It is my. I think we've probably talked about this before
at some point in time.
It is bar none my favorite musical.
Yep.
It is fantastic. I haven't seen any other version than the Johnny Depp version, which I know is probably disservice to things in terms of like seeing it live.
I mean, that's my first intro into it, and that's why I fell in love with it too. Like, I love that version of it.
I really do. First of all, like it plays into everything that I love. Weird, like a good story.
Tim
Burton. I like Johnny Depp.
Yep.
Helena Bonham Carter's great. Violence, like it's creepy and gross and cooking people into meat pot. Like Snape's in it. Alan Rickman. Like,
Rickman. There you go. I can pull his name.
Freaking great.
Yeah.
And so that is the one musical that someone at some point said, you got to watch this. I think it was in college when it came out. And I watched
2007.
Okay. So yeah, early college.
Yep.
And I watched it and went, wow, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like it is great.
Yeah.
And like you said, musicals generally aren't in my purview.
Yep. It's
but
different
like
enough, you know?
Yeah.
It reaches out. And I remember watching an interview that they did with Stephen Sondheim.
The late great.
Yeah. Where they were talking about in the creation of Sweeny Todd, what they were trying to do with it was they were trying to see, is it possible for us to scare you within a musical?
Right.
Which is like, like counterintuitive.
Because musicals are supposed to be kind of light and airy and
fluffy.
Yeah.
But can we add in that kind of horror element into it and it work?
It almost harkens back to operas. Like there are operas that are supposed to be like
dramatic,
brutal,
yeah.
Dramatic. Yeah,
for sure. So, and it was, I thought that's really interesting. And in watching back in 2000, I think I probably watched the release of Sweeny Todd, the Johnny Depp version, sometime in 2008 because I was like fascinated by the concept.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, like I was very kind of like, this is dark.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because like going back and watching it now, I've seen it so many times that it's just kind of like, wow, how did that trigger you? But it 1,000% did back then. And like, I think it was more
people.
Yeah. Well, not even that. It was just like the slashing and like the blood and the gore and all that kind of stuff. And like at that point in time, like I had my firstborn was like an infant.
Yeah.
And so it was just like 90% of like what we were watching was, that kind of content.
Blue's Clues kind of thing.
Yeah, just like fluff. So just like have something so dramatically different was like, whoa, But absolutely loved it. Fell in love with the mute. I bought the soundtrack before I ever saw the movie.
Really?
And listened to the music first because that grabbed me first.
Yeah.
Before the actual play did.
The music's weird. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen like people do an analysis of it, but it's like super weird keys and odd time signatures and weird key changes to make you feel uncomfortable. That's part of the point of it. But like Sondheim was really playing with odd. He leaned into odd.
And there's something, maybe you know what it is. I've watched this really long like explanation of what it is, but like this dies mortem or something. There's this key that it's utilized in so many different things. It's utilized in the Imperial March. Dun, 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 dun. They utilize the same thing in Sweeny Todd of dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And it's utilized
it's
so
like
many
super
different ways.
dramatic. Yeah.
It's this very dramatic, deep, dark, and it's utilized so many times. But they take it and they push it to the forefront.
Right.
And it just freaking works.
Yeah.
And it adds to the momentum of the depth and darkness that is Sweeny Todd. But man, in this rendition currently happening where they've revamped it, they've given it the polish. It was so good.
So musicals as a whole.
Yeah.
Was that your first musical, but was that a musical that like set you down a different path?
That was a musical that, I mean, for me, more or less, it was very different. And I latched on to the music wholeheartedly. Like I said, like I downloaded the soundtrack first, And it was kind of one of those deals where like I already knew the music before I watched
Sing
the
along with
movie. Yeah. So like I already kind of knew like, oh, this is that song. Cool.
Yeah.
I've always wondered what this looked like. I don't know. But the music just grabbed me right away.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, definitely not my first musical.
Yeah,
which granted, I mean, we grew up in an era of Disney movies that the musical was
very true,
very much just kind of part of our movie going experience.
And see, that's like when you brought up musicals, and I know we've talked about Sweeny Todd a little bit here, but when you brought up musicals, I have a very interesting relationship with musicals because let's be honest, like every Disney movie in our childhood is really a musical.
Yeah.
You don't really start to see like non-musical Disney movies until like the Pixar era.
Yeah. I mean, starting with Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
every movie post that was more or less written as a Broadway play.
Correct.
Just animated.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so like in that respect,
Yeah, I would almost say like Tarzan is the first one where like the characters don't sing.
yeah, there is music because Phil Collins goes
Crushes it.
fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like,
Kills it.
yeah. That
But
soundtrack
like,
is
Tarzan
phenomenal.
doesn't sing.
But
Jane doesn't sing.
Yeah, it's a movie with music.
Yeah.
And like musical numbers, but it's not a musical.
Right.
I mean, how many times does Aladdin sing? How many times
Right.
does is there music and the characters are singing in The Lion King?
Pocahontas, Hunchback.
Yeah.
Obviously, Beauty and the Beast.
The majority of those, late 80s into even late 90s Disney movies are all kind of musicals.
Yeah.
So in that respect, like I have
Which granted, Howard Ashman,
exactly.
those guys it was Howard Ashman and Alan Menken.
Menken.
So it's Howard Ashman, Alan Menken, and those guys come from musical
Musicals.
backgrounds.
Yeah.
Like, they had just finished Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Before they come on board with Disney to do Little Mermaid.
Yep.
So obviously, like it totally makes sense that's why they did it.
And like in that respect, I don't dislike musicals.
Right.
But there's something about like I don't know if I remember where like the impetus of this lies, but I remember being in band in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And there's always like in school, at least here in Florida, there's like the testing season.
Right.
Of like, there's like 2 weeks where the schedule of regular school is all messed up and like you're holding in certain schedules, you're testing in this, and then you're going to different classes.
Right.
It's still true today. I was scheduled to be in band and I was in band for like 4 hours one day.
Right.
So we watched The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope. I don't know what it is about this. I was so disinterested. And like for me, that was like I do not like musicals.
Right.
Hard
this is
pass.
not for me.
But yet I could watch a Disney movie. I could watch Aladdin and be just fine.
Right.
And be like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
And even today as an adult, like we'll put on Disney Plus and like, sure, we'll watch one of those movies from that era and be like, just fine.
Right.
It's just, it's kind of like nostalgic and popcorn and satisfying.
Yeah. I've always thought that was interesting. Of like people are like, yeah, no, I don't really like musicals. Oh yeah, Lion King. Let's go.
How do you feel about Disney, or how do you feel about Beauty and the Beast? I like it.
Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a musical.
I mean, it literally opens with a musical number,
Yeah.
and it pretty much doesn't stop.
But it's cartoons.
Maybe that's what
Different
it is.
thing.
Maybe it's just Julie Andrews.
I think it's interesting. So like, all right, Sound of Music.
Yeah,
For me, that's a quintessential musical.
100%.
And I love it. Watch it at least once a year. When we were in Vermont, actually,
You watch Sound of Music?
the girls put that on one night. I think the night that I met you at the bar across the street, they were watching Sound of Music. And because we were obviously about to go to, I think the next day we went up to the Oktoberfest at Stowe, not at Stowe, but at the
Von Trapp.
the Von Trapp Family Brewing. And so like they were all into it.
Yeah.
And it was fucking great.
Yeah.
And like absolutely, that's another one that's just, it's nostalgic. I watched that with my sister countless times.
Right.
Loved it growing up.
Can I come clean?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have not seen that film all the way through.
No way.
Never.
Not even like for historical
No.
relevance.
No.
Huh.
And also
It'd be
like,
worth it for you, honestly. I think
I don't-
honestly at this point in time in
I
your
don't
life,
disagree with you.
I think you'd like
I
it.
don't disagree with you, and I don't disagree with you based on what happened this past Thanksgiving, in that we watched 3/4 of White Christmas together.
Right.
And I've seen White Christmas bits and pieces just from being with you guys for Thanksgiving
Not
for like the
paying
last
attention,
10
just
years.
on in the background.
But just like you know, your daughters, you know, making fun of me for not liking glitter, and then us decorating trees, and you know,
you getting glitter.
Danny Kaye and
Danny fucking Kaye.
Correct. Is tap dancing with
Bing Crosby.
Thank you. And like there it is.
Yeah.
But I've never like sat down and watched it. And for whatever reason, this past Thanksgiving, we like as a group sat down and watched it. Like literally. Like,
Those pictures are moving.
They're
talking to me.
The talkies. Wow. That was terrible. Like my accent, your accents are way better.
You nailed it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But that was the first time like I sat down, and actually after we left and Carol and I came back to the house, I think I actually finished White Christmas. I was like, this is great.
Right.
This is a great film.
They just, in that movie, they nail what we think Christmas was like what an ideal Christmas was in New England back then. Like they
even though the whole movie's about
check it all off.
This is not a white Christmas, and then it becomes a white Christmas.
That's like the whole like shtick of the movie.
Absolutely.
It hasn't snowed. Is it ever going to snow?
Yeah.
It was 68 yesterday, and eventually it snows.
Correct.
And they get the white Christmas, but it has nothing to do with white Christmas. It has everything to do with everything else that's happening in the story. But it's wholesome.
Yeah.
You know, and it just creates that.
And both Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby are fantastic.
That postcard image.
Yeah.
You know, you get that warm, fuzzy feeling from. For me, Sound of Music does that same thing, and it's just not related to Christmas.
So all of that to say, like, I think if I were to go watch Sound of Music, I probably actually would like it.
Yeah, you really would.
But there's some of that, like, yeah, but I watched it as a 13-year-old and
you have this veneer over it.
Absolutely.
And can you get through that?
Yeah.
And if you just forced yourself to do it, you'd realize this is actually pretty poignant.
Probably.
Because it's about an Austrian general who doesn't want to become a Nazi.
Right.
And so he's against that, and then has to find a way to escape Austria as it's being overcome by Nazis.
Sure.
Like, it's a freaking great movie.
Yeah.
And it's got some musical numbers that are catchy as fuck.
Just for clarification.
High on a Hill was a lonely goat herd? Yodelay, 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 he who?
Who?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't know. Like, even with friends of mine that were in like show choir or, you know, like the theater things in high school, and even as, you know, someone outside of the high school perspective and going back and watching different productions of things, like there's just something about the musical for whatever reason. Like I can follow everything that's going on, but it just did not land.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. Like, I mean, there's definitely musicals that if the music doesn't connect with me,
right,
I'm out. Like, I just, I don't really care.
Right. Like,
so, I mean, I definitely get that.
Okay. Like Grease. I watched Grease as a 5th grader.
Yep.
Right. And so Grease came out, what, 70s, mid 70s, maybe? I don't know exactly.
I think mid 70s.
Okay. Yeah. And so I watched Grease as a 5th grader. Like our 5th grade class did a Grease thing for something, or I don't know, it's 50s. Mm-hmm. So we watched Grease and I was like, this is catchy. By the way, you should go back and listen to Grease Lightning. That song is suggestive AF.
Oh yeah, no,
like I never realized. Have you seen it where like there's no music and it's just like John Travolta and everybody else like yeah, so terrible. Exactly. But like I just was like, nah. Like it's catchy, but I don't see the appeal. Even things like the modern popularity of
Hamilton.
People are gonna hate me for this. Hamilton.
Yeah.
I never got the opportunity to see Hamilton live on stage, which probably would change my perspective because I do really like stage performances.
Right.
But I watched it on Disney Plus. I turned it off after about 15 minutes, and I was like, okay, I get like what it stands for. I get like how like it changed musicals in that time period, and I get how groundbreaking it is. But I was like,
just not for you.
Just not for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of like the big thing too, is like understanding like, yeah, that one may not be for me. And then just saying like, well, just musicals. I just don't like musicals.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's always kind of like a tough sell.
Sure.
It's like, I didn't like that one, so I probably just don't like any of them. But then it's like, but did you like Lion King? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then
you probably like
there are musicals that you like. You just have to find the right avenue.
And I think that's a good point of like, it's if I were to blanket statement it, I would probably be someone who's like, no, I don't really like musicals. But if you really ask me, no, I just don't like certain musicals.
Right.
I think like that kind of question presupposes like, do you like musicals? It's like, do you like that genre as a whole? And the answer is no.
Right.
It's like saying like, do you like rock music? My answer is absolutely. Like as a whole, I like almost everything within that category. That doesn't mean I like every band. I just in general like that.
Right.
So I think that,
well, I think it's like, do you like this album? Absolutely. Do you love every song on that album? I mean, there are albums that exist, yes, but like far and few between.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I like
hard
every single song on that album by that group.
Or do you like this band? Yeah. Do you like everything they've done? No,
not all of it.
No, I agree.
You know, nuance.
Yeah. What about you? In general, I mean, it seems like someone's like, Kyle, you like musicals?
I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
Love them. Singing in the Rain.
Never seen it.
Love that shit.
Never seen it. I saw it on the Great Movie Ride.
Yeah, yeah. Gene Kelly.
Who?
Hanging onto that lamppost.
Oh, yeah.
Gene Kelly.
Man. I know who Gene. I'm just kidding. I thought you were going to get up and storm off and throw your Glencairn down. I'm out.
Like that's a staple in our house.
I've never seen the whole thing.
That's right up there with White Christmas as far as like movies that those are probably like the two peaks of musical movies that we watch.
Singing in the Rain and White Christmas?
Yeah, yeah. We love those. We're big fans of the producers. Nathan Lane, Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick, yeah.
Love that stuff. Good stuff. Will Ferrell is in that one.
And the producers?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
That's another one that if you would make yourself watch it.
Yeah.
One, it's hilarious.
I mean, it's
Mel Brooks.
I have not seen the whole thing. I've seen
like
as big of a fan,
as big of a fan of Blazing Saddles as you are.
Yeah.
Like it's Mel Brooks as a musical.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I would probably love it.
Yeah.
I really would.
Again, that just goes back to the thing. Like if you just find the right avenue into it at this point in time, like, you know, if you're a huge Marvel fan, man, they're doing Rogers the Musical out in Disneyland.
Yeah.
That's right there. If you like, you might like it.
But that means I got to go all the way to California. That's a long trip.
Right. It is a long trip.
Not that I'm not taking a long trip rather soon, but that's a long trip.
Yeah, just for a musical. Although that's what I just
Featuring
did.
not Chris.
That's what
Chris
I just
Evans.
did.
If Chris Evans is, well, sure. But you got to see Josh Groban. If I get to see Chris Evans in the musical, I'd probably go. But it's not Chris Evans. It's some dude.
I know Chris Evans. I've actually spoken to him.
I know you have
Twice.
You gave him that Drep and Stone sticker?
Nah.
God. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, I know. Any other musicals pop out when you just say the word musical?
Yes. The musical episodes of TV shows. I'm just like, the one that comes to mind is like Maisel.
Right.
There, in every season thus far, there's been a musical episode.
Right.
And I actually like those.
Yep.
And now that I think about it, like, I actually really enjoy those.
How much have you watched of the new season?
I'm caught up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, so you watched that one.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it.
The trash can one?
Yeah, so waste management
so stupid.
musical.
Yeah, so
good.
Oh,
but that musical, man, what hell of a production, guys. Like, y'all got the value out of that.
Yeah, you did. It's her, Susie's sister as like the demon of the trash heap or something. Right. So cute.
This like apocalyptic future if we had no waste management.
Yeah, ridiculous. But like, I don't know, episodes, even in, I don't know, like How I Met Your Mother did some kind of musical episodes and things like that. I'm just thinking of like, I know that there are a ton of examples and people are yelling at us right now. But I actually like those episodes because they're weird. Because like they're a departure from the general show.
Right.
And I like that.
Yeah.
From a plot standpoint and from that's weird.
Right.
And I like them.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you?
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Chicago. That was the first Broadway musical that I ever went to.
Yeah.
And I was like, at that point in time, I was like 20 years old.
And like everyone's half nude, so you're like, man,
buddy. I was all in it. Blew my socks off. Like it was
literally.
Billy Zane was the lead,
the Richard Gere character,
the Richard Gere character, and like we went and like waited outside the exit door, and he came out and like talked to everybody and stuff. So it was like that was wild, but absolutely always loved it. And then when they made it into a movie like 3 or 4 years later, really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
loved it, and I've always been like connected to that and stuff. But yeah, no.
Oh, so
Gotta talk about Chicago.
That brings up like
just went to Chicago for the first time, and like that was like cool to see the Chicago sign on the thing. So cool.
That brings up to me like I saw Chicago. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
But like Moulin Rouge, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Even something like The Greatest Showman, okay.
Yeah.
And I know people are like Drep and Stone off because people love that.
Well,
and
for sure.
I absolutely get it. But for me, it's just okay.
But there's definitely like, I mean, it's the same thing with anything where it's, do you like whiskey?
Yes.
Love it. But there's going to be so many people that are like,
nah,
I don't really care for it.
Yeah, true.
So it's just a specific category within a thing. Do you like movies?
I do.
Love movies.
I do.
Do you like musical movies?
Well, but I do like Sweeny Todd.
Fair enough.
Well, I do like whiskey.
Love whiskey. Give me all that.
Yeah.
A musical about whiskey.
That's
they
actually
did Buffalo Trace, the musical.
Well, that's what I'm writing right now.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I could say that.
Just
My NDA.
My bad, dude.
That's okay.
Just cut it all out. You can edit it.
I can. I probably won't.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
A little teaser.
I got to hit like 3 different buttons on the keyboard on the laptop.
You got anything else? Musicals? Wizard of Oz. It's a musical.
Is it a musical?
Hell yeah, it's a musical. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Follow the Yellow Brick Road. If I Only Had a Brain.
It's a musical.
It's a fucking musical. Hell yeah. Wonderful Land of Oz.
I do like Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. It's a musical.
Yeah.
It's great.
Totally is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, one of my favorite albums that I can listen to every single song on it and
Wizard
love
of
every
Oz?
single is Harry Connick Jr. Songs I Remember.
Yeah.
It's songs from Wizard of Oz, Annie, Mary Poppins. I don't know. Great album.
Yeah.
Love it though. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Musical.
Oh God. Yeah, you're right. Oh man, maybe I do like musicals. No, I do not have anything else that I can think of.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I love musicals. I could talk about musicals. We didn't even talk about like Phantom of the Opera, Les Mis. Like, I mean, there's great stuff out there.
Save it for another time.
We'll save it. We'll save it for another time.
I mean, we've got 50 years on this podcast at least. We got to fill time somehow.
All right. Good call. Good call. Save some content for another time.
That's what we do.
So on that note,
you can get in touch with us and tell us about your musical experiences.
Yeah, sing them to us even. You know?
Ooh, I would enjoy that email.
Leave us a little voicemail.
That would be great. Well, you record it on your iPhone or your Android device.
All right.
And you attach that to an email.
Right, yeah, easy enough.
Yeah, whatever you want to say, just sing it.
Yeah.
We'll even play it on the podcast.
Hell yeah, we will.
Within reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
vulgar,
profanity ridden.
I mean, we do say the profanities from time to time.
Right.
But like too profanity. We got it's a sort of ish family. It's not a family friendly show.
No, it's probably not.
No. We also want to know, what do you think about the new version, of the newly released version of the HighWest Campfire?
Yeah, or just what are your thoughts of Campfire if you've ever had it in any release?
Oh, I thought you were like, have you smelled Campfire before?
Yeah, what do you think about campfires?
You been around a campfire?
Do you like the warmth of a campfire?
Yeah.
Does it matter which side of the campfire are you on, or are you always just smothered by smoke?
That's my wife. Like, no matter what happens, she's always somehow in the smoke, and she just gets pissed.
I think that's everybody.
Yeah, I think I've said that Carol's pissed 3 times in this episode.
Yeesh.
Ew, I don't know. That's probably not a good omen. I want to know, what does everybody think about like this kind of blending of whiskeys? Like mashing together rye, bourbon, and scotch. Is it a thing that should be done more often?
Yeah, I need more of it.
I don't see why not. Especially like people that know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of like hard staples. This is this thing, but I'm also a fan of like, man, mix it all together and see what you get out of it.
For sure.
Love it.
You can get in touch with us through email. It's drepandstone@gmail.com. You can also get in touch with us through social media.
It's all over the social medias. Drep and Stone. It's one word.
What is that?
DREP and Stone.
Oh.
Yeah. So you can find us wherever you social media it up.
Yeah.
Find a thing, like a thing, share a thing, comment on a thing, and we would really appreciate your things.
You know what's going on very shortly?
No, sir.
That's a lot of travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to see some behind the scenes of some of that travel stuff and what we're getting into in different various locales around the globe.
Indeed.
Come join us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Drep and Stone. Kyle and I are both doing our best to post some things as we can to Patreon. Just letting everybody know what's going on.
Indeed.
And maybe what we're drinking, what we're experiencing, what we're purchasing. Who knows?
Look out.
Who knows what kind of insanity we're getting into?
Wild stuff.
Wild. You can also support the podcast by rating Drep and Stone wherever it is you find great podcasts like this one. And finally, you can support the podcast by just telling your best friend about Drep and Stone.
Yeah, do the good deed.
Yeah, just like, hey, buddy, I know that you and I share almost everything together because we're best friends.
Yeah. I know you love musicals.
And I know you love whiskey.
Like, these guys were just talking about, like, they were going on and on and on about Sound of Music the other day. You should listen to that episode.
And we should drink. You know what? Hey, you want to get a whiskey, like a pour together and go watch Sound of Music?
Yeah. Sounds great.
As two grown men do.
Yeah. I do it at least once a week.
I believe that. I believe that.
Edelweiss, Edelweiss. Every morning you greet me.
I shed a tear. On that note, you got a lot of whiskey left.
Don't you worry about it.
I won't. May your glass overflow.
And your ass never show. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
This is my episode? Okay.
Is your mic on?
Yeah. Check. I'll boost it up a little bit more.
There it is.
Just because I love the sound of my voice.
I know.
I'm more and more convinced that, like, I'm living in a simulation anyway. So it's like I don't really need to worry beyond me. You know?
Well, and I think like that yeah, that's part of it.
I'm 40. I'm a man. Oh. Baby. Wicks that liquid because there's going to be some swamp ass.
Correct.
All over that.
It's for science, honey. Come on. But
if I
I was gonna say if you spill that, I'm gonna be pissed.
Whoa.
No, I'm just kidding.
Damn. I gotta go.
Can I include this in the podcast?
I don't care.
Okay.
You never know. Internet's
Yeah.
a crazy place.
It is a crazy place. The world
You
is
just
a crazy
say
place.
Chris Evans, it probably like automatically feeds it right to him.
Yeah, like we've said Chris Evans in this room and both of our phones are here, so we're probably gonna get Chris Evans stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Whoa.
That's a musical.
My mind
Yeah.
is blown right now, and it shouldn't be because like, duh.
Yeah. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
What was I gonna say?